Oh my goodness.
Oh no, I forgot that the light is still in the way.
Technical issues, as always.
Oh my god, every single time. Is it gone now?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're good.
It's like on the
It's
edge.
very bright.
What?
So it's very bright.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Well, this is what you get when you don't have your producer in the studio with you, is you get, you don't know what you're doing.
Look at that. Found the blind spot.
Yes, Zeus, you have watched every single podcast, and I love you for it, as well as like most of my Twitch streams. I've got some loyal people.
That's incredible,
some people
honestly.
that pop up pretty often. But hey, everybody, welcome back to the Lore Lodge. We're chilling, we're vibing. It's Saturday night. It's emo night tonight.
It is emo night
a bar
in town.
So after this, I'll be going to that and absolutely raging, as one does. Kat's tired. She may or may not come.
I'm an old lady.
Okay. I keep having this experience at PJ's, which is the bar we go to in town, where I'll like be talking to somebody and I'll assume they're within 5 years of my age, and then they're like 37. I'm just like,
that is PJ's though. PJ's is the place to go if you're 37 and you still want to get really lit at a bar.
Be able to hit on 21-year-old girls.
But yeah,
I've seen some weird stuff go down at PJ's.
There's a time and a place for it, and that place is PJ's.
Yes, it's you could. I've been thinking about, like, Aidan and I have been talking about doing writing a slapstick comedy movie that's about a rivalry between two Irish pubs in a small town.
Ooh.
It would be entirely Molly's and PJ's. Yeah. And we would like do our best to film it there. But I think that would be beautiful.
They are both Irish pubs, but they serve a different purpose in the ecosystem of the Phoenixville bar scene. True. So, which
for those who are not familiar with the town of Phoenixville, I think we've got 17 bars on Bridge Street.
No. I mean, there's a lot of breweries.
Well, that's the thing. Is like, if you include a brewery as a bar,
are you going to include Steel City? Because it's kind of.
I'm going to include anywhere with a liquor license or a brewing license.
Oh, I mean, I guess they can technically serve beer.
Yeah.
So.
Steel City does liquor too.
Do they do liquor?
Yeah, you can get whiskey there and vodka and gin.
Okay.
Listen, Steel City.
I didn't know about this.
Steel City used to be this ratty little like coffee shop back when I was a kid. That like the only reason you would go there was for open mic nights, and somehow in the 10 years between like when I was starting high school and now, Phoenixville has just like become some artistic mecca of southeastern Pennsylvania where there's all this different shit going on. Yeah. And now Steel City is like, we're a cafe that also serves alcohol at 10 in the morning.
Their pastries are really, really
so
good.
They're so good. But, all right, I should probably read the story.
Okay.
I should probably get into it. So
we'll get into it.
Yes.
We're going to get into it.
And 95% of this is just because I think it's fun for the audience to watch you react to shit I say. That's kind of how it goes. That's how it goes with the normal like Monday show too. Is just I say stuff and then Aiden's like.
I hope my facial expressions are amusing for the viewers, and
if not, we'll just put Archie somewhere.
My voice. That's true. We can always pull Archie. Get him up here.
Oh my God! Hi Sam. I haven't said. Just come. You live in like Westchester. Just drive up here.
Oh, Westchester is nothing. Yeah, also, Westchester is super, super cool. I feel bad that I don't hang out in Westchester.
It's a college town.
Which makes it cool, right?
Wait. So you're gonna come to me and call yourself old and refer to me as a baby.
You are.
I'm 2 years younger than you. Westchester is a college town.
No.
You're gonna go to Westchester and enjoy yourself?
Here's the thing.
Do you want to just get hit on by 20-year-old guys? Is that what you're looking for?
No, decidedly no. Definitely not.
Okay, sure.
I was gonna say, is it better than being hit on by like significantly older men?
I did go.
I honestly don't know which I would prefer.
Yeah, I went to.
That's a hard question.
As a guy, it's like obviously not the same thing, but like I went to a little burger place in Manayunk with a couple of my friends.
Hit on old women?
No, we got aggressively hit on by a couple of older gay men who were there on a date, and it was an experience.
That sounds like an experience.
They're like, you have an old soul, and I'm like, I don't know what that means, but thanks for the old fashioned, I guess. They were nice guys. But it was just whoo.
Interesting.
Why? I'm not drunk at all. This is my first. I've had like 3 sips of this. This is just more laid back than the normal show. But all right.
This is our laid back Saturday night show.
Yeah, it's Saturday. You know, we don't work on Saturdays because I work every other day of the week.
You do need to stop doing that.
On Fridays, I work 2 jobs. All right, but to get into the stories for tonight, we have one, and this is one of the earliest ones we received, but it was a really good one, so I wanted to go through it again. This was submitted by a guy named Nick. Obviously, I don't do last names because that would be weird for everybody involved. You know, you don't want people searching for you.
Calling out middle names.
Yeah.
Middle names, last names, social security numbers.
I don't know your middle name. Don't say it right now. Don't say it right now. That would... Don't even say your last name. Just don't do it.
I was shocked, honestly, the first time we got on here. Or no, it wasn't. It was on the last video. And someone asked, like, oh, where in PA are you guys from? And you were just, like, straight up like, oh, we're in Phoenixville.
I've said it enough times.
All right, you know.
I've said it enough times.
You got my zip code now.
We have a P.O. box, but it's in Valley Forge to throw everybody off a little bit.
Ooh, there you go.
Also because sneaky. The Phoenixville post office is, it's like in a church. I don't know. Like
it is weird. It is strange. All right, I will stop distracting you.
It's a weird town. We live in a weird place. This is a really weird place to live. Okay. Woo! So,
stranger danger.
Get into this. All right. Let me get into my narration voice. All right. And are my audio levels fine? Yeah, they're fine. All right. For a little bit of background, at the time I was living in Florida, where I was born and grew up. However, most of my family outside of my mom and dad lived in Rhode Island. Roughly twice a year, I'd end up taking a trip up to visit them, and we would drive from Scituate, Rhode Island, to Wilmington, Vermont. Wilmington is a very small town, which at the time I'd say had no more than 200 residents. It had only 1 traffic light, and the fire station, police station, and post office are all one building.
Just like Phoenix.
Yeah, I'm gonna interject here really quick. I went on a trip to a family reunion up in Renovo, Pennsylvania, which is like half an hour north of State College. Mm-hmm. So it's middle of nowhere. Old like Appalachian coal mining town.
Love it.
The hotel, bowling alley, gym, bar, ice cream parlor.
That gym had to have been a YMCA, wasn't it?
No.
No, wasn't it?
No, it was literally just like a weight room.
Oh my god.
All 6 of these things were in one building. It was, the house that half the family was staying in didn't have like electricity. Oh my god, it was beautiful. And my stepdad and my mom are like, yeah, we saw some weird stuff around that house. And I asked my uncle about it, and he was like, no weird stuff, no hauntings, nothing. And I was like, okay, Uncle Jeff. You know, if you had been a little bit less intense about that denial, I might believe you.
Right. Yeah.
It was quite isolated, but our house on a mountain a few miles north of Wilmington was even more so, with the closest neighbors being about 1.5 miles away by snowmobile. I love that method of transportation in the winter, and 2 miles by road in the summer. We never experienced many weird things. However, the few happenings we did experience were extremely odd. The incident in question happened around 2 days after Christmas in 2013. Terrible year. I don't remember much of 2013.
What do you mean you don't remember much of 2013?
I don't know. I was like 16, 15. How old was I in 2013? You were inexplicably 4 years older than me in 2013.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like, I graduated high school in 2013, and you were like, what? Like, learning how to cut things with scissors?
I hate you. I don't know if I even own a pair of scissors. I think they're around here somewhere. Okay. The layout of the house is important. It is a 3-story house with the first story functioning more as a basement. An open-plan kitchen and a den with a single bathroom and 2 bedrooms in the back. With it being built on a mountain, the bathroom and bedrooms had no windows. The second floor was more used as a first floor, with it having an L-shaped deck that wrapped around one side and extended the width of the face of the house. This floor, again, had an open main room with a kitchen and living area, a bathroom, and 2 bedrooms located at the back, and a staircase leading to the 3rd story across from the bathroom. The 3rd story had 2 bedrooms and a connecting bathroom with a U-shaped hallway connecting the 2 with the stairway in the middle. This is, I forgot how, like, detailed this was. The way the house was constructed, there's about 10 feet of sloping land dug out on 2 sides around the side and back of the house that usually gets filled in with snow, however, not enough to cover the windows. Due to the area below the deck not being filled in, with there being some sort of carport type cutout, most of the snow flows into there and leaves the bedroom window a solid 15 to 20 feet off of the ground. My bedroom is at the back left. My bedroom is the back left one if you were looking at the house from the front, and the part that is... Oh my god, this is like hard to read. And the part of the deck that wraps around my side is approximately 10 feet from my window. The railing on the deck is about 3.5 feet tall, and the entire deck is made of oak wood and reinforced with steel crossbeams from below. Can't be melted by jet fuel. Due to the area around my room being dug out away from the house and the snow flowing below the deck, it is physically impossible for a normal-sized human to reach my window from the ground or deck without assistance. That's going to be important.
That's all that we really need to know.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So just to kind of reiterate here, the important part here is that his bedroom window, which I believe he said is on the second floor, or it might have been the third.
Well, it depends on where the snow level is.
Yeah.
Which it seems excessive for Vermont.
Yeah, right?
Like they're the souther of us, and here
Vermont? Vermont's...
No.
Oh, souther? They're calling me out for being drunk.
Okay. In my defense, you said Wilmington, Vermont, and
you were thinking Delaware.
Thought Wilmington, Delaware, which is in fact souther of here.
Okay, so I know you were a STEM major, but souther is not a word.
Shut up.
Oh my god, there was this story that one of my close friends, Marley, she was at our Super Bowl party. Her dad walked in while we were on senior week once. We didn't drink on senior week. He chaperoned us, which basically meant him going to the bar while we did whatever we were going to do. Mm-hmm. He came home one night, and we had this joke that Marley did a year abroad in Chile. And I always, because the flags are the same, I've always made the joke that she basically she did her year abroad in Texas. And she's, so I'm making that joke. Her dad walks in, and he's like, no, Marley was in Chile, and it was the furthest south I've ever been. We were like, okay. And he's like, the previous furthest south I'd ever been was Tanzania, which is just south of the African border. And we all looked at him, we were like, the what?
African border?
The what? And my friend Rose just pipes up, and she's like, do you mean the equator? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, anyway, you guys have a good night, and walks into his room. We're just like, what did we just experience?
Wow.
Yeah,
you mean like the northern African border?
There's no African border. It's a continent.
Well, the border is the beach, I would assume.
I guess, yeah.
Technically. Speaking.
Or like the...
Continents can have borders.
The Red Sea, I guess. The Suez Canal.
Continents have borders. It's all how it's defined.
Yeah. And sometimes when you're a U.S. president and you want to trade with the Eastern Asian portion of the world, you just cut a continent in half. Because of the Monroe Doctrine. That's fun.
Wow. That's a throwback for me.
Yeah. When people ask me my political views, I just tell them Teddy Roosevelt, because I feel like that's better than explaining it. They're like, what does that mean? And I'm like, we shouldn't get involved in foreign wars. And they're like, what about wars
in
the Western Hemisphere? And I'm like...
We should adopt baby bear cubs.
No, we should not adopt baby bear cubs. Why would we do that?
Isn't that what he did?
Do you want to get killed by mother bears?
Well, I thought the mother bear was already dead.
Oh, yeah, and I mean in those cases.
Yeah.
I agree with you there.
Yeah. Well, I too am a...
Have you ever seen a bear cub in the wild?
Oh, the little ears. I've never seen one in the wild because I'm still alive. Because if I had seen one in the wild, I know personally I would not be able to stop myself.
Well, it's not the baby bear you gotta be worried about.
I know it's not the baby bear, but I know that I would want to get closer, and I know that I would absolutely be smited off the face of this earth by an angry mama bear.
Yeah.
So there is Archie. Do you think baby bear cubs are cuter than Archie?
Nothing is cuter than Archie.
That's true. That's very true.
There's nothing cuter than this dog. He's adorable. He's wonderful.
Archie.
There we go. Okay, back to the story. Now that I've explained the architecture and circumstances behind where I was at the time, I can explain what happened.
Yes.
It was me, my grandmother and grandfather, aunt, uncle, and 2 cousins, both of whom were still toddlers. That's cute. We have a fire pit in the front drive where we would hang out and roast marshmallows and enjoy the forest and its sounds. This sounds like idyllic. I would love this. This is like my dream, okay? Yeah, usually after dinner and before bed. Since the kids were young, we all decided to settle in at around 9 because we were all tired after spending the day at Mount Snow. I remember this because it was the first time I had been skiing, and I will never forget it. Wording. I remember this because I won't forget it. My aunt, uncle, and cousins slept upstairs on the 3rd floor, while my grandparents slept in the room across from me on the 2nd floor. I had fallen asleep pretty early after 9 because I was tired and worn out from skiing. I remember waking up to a tapping noise on my window and thinking it was just a tree branch. It's never just a tree branch.
Sometimes it's just a tree branch.
It's not... Stop ruining my aesthetic. Shush. As I listened, I realized it couldn't be a tree as they had all been cut down within 35 feet of the house for safety reasons.
Then why did you think it was a tree branch?
Because he just woke up to the tapping. Let's give him some credit.
Something
we don't know how
tapping,
old he
gently
was.
rapping on his bedroom, not door, but window.
I guess. Yeah, his window. Yeah, so remember how I said it's never just a tree branch? Remember how I said that? I woke up and looked out the window to see a very pale and gaunt face staring back at me from the outside.
Okay.
Is it still just a tree branch, Kat?
Hear me out. The human brain is wired to see human patterns. That's what makes us such good apex predators. Mm-hmm. It's also wired to see faces in things. That's why we see faces in trees. We see faces in...
Are you telling me Jesus was not in my toast?
See, exactly. We see patterns, and specifically we're very good at recognizing human faces. So I think if you wake up, you're a little groggy, you look out your window, you see something that you identify as a face. It's a very slim to none chance that it is actually a face.
I'm gonna put on a scream mask and tap on your bedroom window.
Well, I live on the 2nd floor, so good luck with that.
He was on the 2nd floor. He said so in the story.
All right, go on.
Yep.
Go on. He believes to see a very gaunt face.
This is a threat.
He believes, stop.
Yes, he believes he saw a very gaunt, pale face.
He believes himself to see a very pale, gaunt face.
It scared the hell out of me, as its features were very off. It had normal-sized eyes, but they were pitch black, and its mouth had no lips, allowing for its teeth to be exposed. The closest thing I can compare the teeth to are those of a neglected horse. Listen, this kid needs,
How many neglected horses has this kid from Vermont seen?
He's not from Vermont. He was from Florida and goes to Vermont sometimes.
Okay. Even more. How many neglected horses? I would believe it more if he no, Archie, don't leave. If he had said something about like a meth addict or a crack addict, because that's someone in Florida would have seen a lot of.
Yeah.
More so than a neglected horse.
Fair enough. Yeah, I guess neglected horse is not the first place I'd go. It was bald with no discernible ears or nose. That's not very close to a neglected horse at all. It didn't appear bothered that I was aware of its presence. However, it showed a clear annoyance at the fact that I was inside behind a window and not outside with it.
That's
maybe it was cold.
Immediately the annoyance.
If you're cold, they're cold.
They're cold.
Let them in. Need to make a meme about that and put it on Instagram.
with a gaunt
with the wendigo.
Face, with the teeth like a neglected horse.
Oh my god! This is what I should have used for the graphic we use. I should have sent just this description to Norman and been like, draw this. Okay. The only one visible hand had 5 fingers, each very bony, as if the skin was pulled tight around the bones, the same as the head. It had long, sharp fingernails that seemed to be about 2 to 3 inches long, with its fingers being about twice that. Yo, can you imagine having 6-inch fingers? I could play guitar like nobody's business.
That is not the first place my mind went.
This is a family-friendly show. You stop that. I'm thinking about John Mayer, and apparently you are too. What scares me the most is as it was about to peek into my window. As I said before, the window is about 15 to 20 feet off the ground, and this being the dead of winter, likely had about 4 feet of snow under it. The snow is usually extremely soft, so I'd say you'd sink into the first 2 feet of it. However, the way it was positioned leads me to believe that it was on the balcony, as it was almost leaning over to peek through the window. It wasn't straight up in a vertical position, as if it were standing in front of it, but more leaning over it, as if it were off to the side. So I guess kind of like, just like, I guess like, that's like, you know, a nice little, just like peeking around.
But you have to, capture the look of annoyance of you being inside and them being outside.
Exactly.
Yeah, like
that's gonna be just like how I knock on people's doors from now on. Like, no, Archie, that was me.
No, Archie.
It was me, buddy. Good boy. Good boy. No, I know. Oh boy. Okay.
He's not gonna be happy till someone comes in.
Keep in mind the railing is about 3.5 feet tall. Couple that with the fact that my window was about 10 feet back from the railing. No matter where it was standing, it had to be over 13 feet tall. Archie, come here. The next day, I went out with my grandfather to chop some wood, but decided to take a break and look for tracks. Okay, decisions. The absence of any tracks or disturbed snow below my window led me to believe it was on the balcony leaning over. He's really harping on this balcony thing. I know, buddy.
I mean, no lie. If I had a balcony, I would be harping on it too.
Okay, fair enough. Harping, just like sitting out there, like plucking. Okay, good boy. However, this was only the first encounter, as I had another encounter in 2017. This time he was staying on the third floor. At the front of the house. There is a singular window facing the driveway, and I awoke one night to use the bathroom, and upon entering the room, I witnessed it again. The window is at least 10 feet off the ground, off the balcony, and there would be nothing to stand on to get to it. I would sometimes stay out on the balcony at night while everyone was inside, and I would always hear weird noises. I always thought it was an elk or some other wild animal, but it never sat right.
Are there elk in Vermont?
There's elk everywhere.
Fair.
There's elk in, like, New Mexico.
Fair. What?
Yeah, apparently.
Really?
Yeah. But, by the way, that's where the story ends.
Oh, that's it?
That's all he gave me.
That's it?
Yep.
So what, did he, like, die after that?
Well, apparently not, because he sent me the story in 2021, so, like, you know.
That's horrifying.
I have his email. I'll have to check up and see if anything happened this past
thing in the
winter.
bathroom. That's horrible. Like, that's my greatest fear whenever I walk into a bathroom with a window where you can see out the window, to see something looking back at you.
My greatest fear whenever I walk into a bathroom is usually falling into the toilet and getting sucked down the drain, which I know is completely irrational, but, you know, or like frogs being in there. I don't know, just swimming up. Just sitting on the toilet, you know, and there's just...
What's a frog going to do?
I don't know, just be weird. What a frog pop, you know how they have the tongue that just shoots out? And it's like, the frog pops up and it's like, I'm gonna lick your booty. Like, I don't know, I want that.
So what?
What do you mean, so what?
I mean, like, it's not gonna, like, it's not gonna kill you.
You're telling me you'd simply be okay with that?
No, I wouldn't be okay with it. But I'm just saying that's not the most terrifying thing that I... like.
Regarding a toilet?
You know, sometimes people are like, oh, I'm, like, worried that there's a snake in there, or, like, an alligator.
That would be ridiculous.
No, I think there are snakes that get into, like, water snakes. Like,
thank you for ruining the experience
like
of going to the bathroom for me.
Well, I mean, like, I don't know why you're just worried about a frog when there could be so many worse things in there.
You STEM people say deeply unsettling things. Like, you're like, I see that you are somewhat afraid of being carjacked. That's very unlikely. It's much more likely that you're just going to get stabbed. Like,
I actually don't know how likely it is that you would be carjacked over just being stabbed.
I do think being stabbed is probably more likely.
I don't know. I don't have the evidence.
I've never had either happen to me.
Exactly.
So
my sample size of one is inconclusive.
The number of crimes that have been committed against me are fairly negligible. Probably lower than the average. I don't know. Although, what's the average number of crimes to experience in your life?
I think it depends on where you are geographically.
That's true. We're in a pretty safe area. Although not safe enough that, like, the second night I hung out with Kat, she wanted to walk like 1.5 miles back to her apartment in the dark alone.
It's not that long.
In her Halloween costume.
It's a 20-minute walk. My Halloween costume, for the record, also had a coat on. So it was a lab
That
coat.
was going to protect you from the kidnappers.
100%.
Yeah.
I can protect myself from the kidnappers.
What would actually protect you from the kidnappers is the vial of candy corn that you had.
No, the vial of candy corn broke.
It's smashed, yeah.
It's shattered into a billion pieces of glass and candy corn. I still had my vial of mystery bright green liquor, though. That I still have. I still haven't drank it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't at this point. Also, somebody in chat says they've heard that story a number of times. That's interesting because this was submitted directly to me.
Wow.
So I'm curious where else it's popped up, or if these are just like similar stories. Because I have heard similar stories, especially surrounding Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, from other channels.
So if we're assuming that these are different stories, but just similar in nature, what would it be?
That's like my favorite thing to talk about. Can you get down? No? Okay. Can you at least put your paws on the table and be a polite young gentleman? Okay.
Oh no, they can't see the paws on the table. Only I get to see the paws on the table.
The paws are on the table. Now they're not.
We're losing an Archie. Oh, goodbye.
Yeah, so this is a story that I've heard very similar accounts to. There have been some that I've heard on Mr. Ballin's channel, some that I've heard submitted as like just creepypastas and whatnot, but they all tend to, work around the same thing. Some, 10 to 15 foot tall, emaciated humanoid figure with, no lips and usually like, broken fingernails, jagged teeth, very like pale skin, black eyes, things like that. And these all get reported in like everywhere across from the Great Lakes up through Maine and like Newfoundland, like Nova Scotia, all those areas. So, and it does fit really well with the Algonquin Ojibwa stories of the Wendigo.
Archie knows you're not supposed to say it out loud.
The flesh pedestrian, the windy bagel.
I like windy bagel.
The fleshy boy.
I was craving bagels so bad this morning. You have no idea.
How'd that go for you?
I didn't get a bagel. I just suffered.
Oh, okay. We have to end women's suffrage.
End women's suffrage now.
Suffered enough.
Give me a bagel. Yeah, we have.
Yes, it was on the Storytime way back when, but we're going through some of my favorites from the old Storytime days as we revamp that program as well.
So it matches up with the stories of the Wendigo.
Yes, very well. There's an Ojibwa scholar, Basil H. Johnston, which of course is not a very Native American name, but he was Canadian, so he was half and half. Got a very, very white name out of it. But his description was, he would say that it was described as being, very pale, gaunt, emaciated, that they're constantly hungry, that no meal ever actually satisfies them. They've constantly got to keep eating, and that you become one of these creatures either by being in a state of greed or desperation that opens you up to being possessed by this demon that is the windy boy. Or when you consume another person, usually somebody you're close to, a loved one, as an act of desperation to stay alive, then you will be cursed with, becoming one of these creatures. Mm-hmm. These stories were very common with the Ojibwa people before they encountered the European settlers, and then European settlers both heard the stories and also reported experiencing it. So you've got stories of both Native Americans who became these creatures, as well as frontiersmen who would become these creatures, who would go missing and just end up disappearing. And later, people would go into the same area and report seeing these creatures that were, in some cases, the legend states that they're 15 to 30 feet tall, they're giants with a heart of ice, and that you have to cut out the heart and burn it, and that's the way that you kill one. Mm-hmm. In some cases, it's cut off the head and burn the body. Like, there's a bunch of different ways to do it, but most of them revolve around burning the remains.
Fire is traditionally very cleansing.
Yeah, exactly. I light myself on fire every night to get rid of the sins of the day. We're on fire for the Lord.
No, but I mean, fire and salt. I feel like they're the two biggest.
Yeah.
And holy water.
Yes.
So that's the trinity of keep making bad juju go away.
Holy water is just water that has been blessed by a priest.
Yeah, and it's only a specific like concentration of holy water that's been blessed by a priest.
It's like,
you can make more holy water.
Yeah, it's like sourdough.
Exactly. It's just like sourdough.
So sourdough is the holy yeast.
Holy yeast!
Good Lord. I'm going to get canceled by the Catholics.
I'm sorry.
Look what you've done.
I'm sorry.
Look what you've caused me.
Oh, I caused this.
All right. Yes, this is your fault. I'm blaming this on you. All right. Just to keep in theme here, we've got another one. This one was submitted by Jordan. And it goes like this. I'm honestly not sure what this was. It could be a wendigo, but I'm not sure. Back in 2013 or 2014, I woke up on a regular day. Much better than waking up at the apocalypse. Now at this time, I had lost my dad in 2006 or 2007. At this time. Oh, okay.
I think at the time of the story.
Yeah, but I don't know. The writer in me is just like, that's not a very like.
Well, this is this person's account.
Yeah, true. I know. I'm sorry, guys.
Wow, what a shitty way to describe that your dad had died.
Listen, I understand. I see the problem.
Aiden's out here pulling out his red pen.
I would
do better.
I would be such a bad English teacher. I would be so mean to kids. I would be evil. It all goes back to that time that one of my English teachers gave me a 24 out of 25 on something, and when I asked what I could have done to get a perfect score, he said, well, do you think your poem was perfect? And I was like, well, no, that's why I'm in this class. And he was like, so if it wasn't perfect, why should you get a perfect score? And I was like...
That's such a horrible thing to say to a kid.
I was like, Mr. Smith, I understand where you're coming from, but like these grades affect whether or not I get into college. So, And then I wrote, I don't know if I told you the story, but I wrote a poem that was literally just about a guy who gets kidnapped by a leprechaun. It was the dumbest thing. I'll read it. I'll read it on this stream. That'll be the last thing we do. But I got a 25 out of 25 on that.
That was the perfect
And I was
one.
like, Mr. Smith, are you telling me that this was perfect? And he went, yes. It's like, all right, you know what? No,
I'm into it. I'm here for it. I want to read this 25 out of 25 leprechaun kidnap story poem.
All right. Somebody super chatted. Thank you.
Ooh.
Thank you, Alan. Said, just got done showing my roommates The Missing 411 and now a Lore Lodge stream. Night is going great. We were all freaking out at the Aaron Hedges case because it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Alan. I will be keeping up the great work. And you will be excited to know that my co-host, my normal co-host, Aidan.
Not me.
The blonde one. He is going to be doing a monthly in-depth Missing 411 video for the channel where he's going to go into the actual federal, state, and local case files, read through them, and try and compile a story of what happened.
Oh, wow.
So those will be coming out, I think, the second Thursday of every month, starting either in March or April. So I'm excited about those because I don't have the patience for that, and he's using his journalism major for something finally, so go Aidan.
Go Aidan.
All right, back to the story. I was about 13 or 14 living in North Carolina on our own little bit of land. This was a bit away from a major city, but not as country as you might think. So probably about like what Kimberton is to us. We're about 40 minutes from Philadelphia out here. Let's see. I heard my dad's voice calling my name, which was odd as he was long dead by then, and I didn't really remember much about him. I still don't, but that's another can of worms. I looked out the window to see if I could see him on the streets, and gently pressed my hand against the glass to lean very gently. Emphasizing the gently here. I took a look. I saw nothing, but to my amazement, to my horror, the glass pane of the window broke perfectly around my hand. Ooh, I don't like that.
Ooh, I don't like that.
Like a
I
small,
don't like that at all.
slightly uneven circle cracked out, but with no shards, which was odd to me. We got everything fixed, but I'm honestly unsure what that was. Maybe it's just me. I've always had strange things happen, from hearing his voice to even predicting the future in my dreams. Okay, I gotta say, like, I've experienced that. You ever have a dream where it was, like, something super mundane, but, like, then it happened, like, a year later, and you're like, wait a second, I remember that.
Deja vu.
Yeah, except I distinctly remember having the dreams. Deja vu, as they say in Italian.
Stop. It's
I know.
Don't hurt me like this.
I usually go with my instincts, but at that moment I almost just went outside. It was early in the morning, so there weren't really any people out and about. My mom was asleep, but woke up as soon as I told her what had happened, and she didn't know any better than I did. If this was a skinwalker, I wonder what could have happened to me if I went out on my own, if I had left the safety of my house to pursue that voice. Now I live away from that house, but sometimes I still keep thinking about things about that morning and about all the things that have happened since. So, this is one thing that I have to bring up that has been, like, mind-boggling for me lately. Everything I've ever read about skinwalkers has said that they are cannibals. And recently, there's been a small number of Navajo people commenting on stuff that I've posted saying that they've never heard the cannibal side of things. They've never heard of skinwalkers eating people. And I'm like, that is so strange. And I'm not saying that they're right or they're wrong. Obviously, there can be variations in folklore from tribe to tribe and, region to region. But, like, that is something that's been so consistent that I've always heard is, like, this thing eats people. And I've never questioned it. But, I mean, if Jordan's wondering what would have happened.
It's hard to imagine that something that preys on humans would need to be, like, need to draw them out of the house.
Yeah,
why can't they just go into the house if they're such a predator? That's
the thing that I've wondered, and as I've done more research into it, I've never really gotten a good answer on it. It just seems to be the tradition, and I don't really understand why. It might be, I did one TikTok video a while ago where I suggested that, like, maybe it's a self-preservation technique, because if somebody gets, goes missing from their bed, that creates a lot more suspicion and a lot more, like, if somebody goes missing from their own home, the entire community is going to, like, freak out, because if you can take one person from their bedroom, you can take any of them. So people are always like, well, why does it call you off the trail? Why does it call you into the woods? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Why wouldn't it just take you off the trail? And I think that, like, that's the only reason I can think of is, like, if this is something that's real and it's something that's, the ones that have survived are probably the ones that saw other ones go onto the trail, get, like, ganked, and were like, I shouldn't do that. So the only thing I can think of to make sense there is that they're like, oh, well, people who go missing off the trail are much less likely to be, investigated or found. Most people will chalk it up to just being like, they got missing. Lost. And that's the crazy thing is
you go off the trail and you get got, that's your own problem.
Exactly. And that's the attitude. And I'll post a video about missing 411 and people will be like, they probably just fell into a cave. And I'm like, do you understand how difficult it is to just fall into a cave? Like, first of all, you've got to find the cave. Like, there are a lot of caves. They're everywhere.
Well, they're everywhere here.
But you usually don't just, like... I've never been hiking and been like, oops, almost fell into the mouth of a gaping cavern.
I don't know.
You gotta do more hiking.
I guess.
Yeah, we've got to find some caverns. I will never go caving. You could not...
Spelunking. It's called spelunking.
Sure, spelunking. That's a normal word that normal people use.
What? It's the correct word.
Well, where's the correct word? It's just... somebody super chatted for $5. Sneaky Devil, thank you.
Thank you.
Story short. Did you mean long story short? I don't know.
A short story.
Or
but it's a remix of short story.
Sure.
Are
you sure that's your first drink?
It's almost empty, so that might be why.
God, you're tiny. This house is not haunted. Okay, my father and I were talking, and he said, this house is not haunted. Then the lamplight near us exploded. Ghost didn't like that. LOL. That's my ghost story, too, is like, I told it before on the show. I was playing Manhunt with my buddies, and I went and hid in the backyard of this house that was unoccupied. Temperature dropped really rapidly, like 10 degrees. There was a plastic lawn chair in the driveway that I heard something like clatter behind me. I looked over and it was like 5 yards another direction. And I just like looked at the house, and to this day, like, I swear that I saw something in one of the windows. But I being 18, yes, I played Manhunt until I was 18, and I would do it again. I don't know what
Manhunt is. Am I?
It's like team hide and go seek, I guess. Like, instead of one person being it, there's a bunch of people who are... I mean, we played Infection, which was our own variation on it, like Halo.
Is it almost like humans versus zombies?
Kind of. If the zombies are trying to get you. I don't know. I don't know what you guys called things up in, you know, the one state that didn't actually sign the Declaration of Independence.
HVZ is like a college game where like you have Nerf guns.
Oh yeah, we did that too. We called it more in... we didn't do that. We would do like nightly. We would just play like at night, but
oh no. I went to a real nerd college and they took that stuff really seriously.
No, we would usually play Infection, which was where one person would start off as it. We had a block of six houses.
Okay.
That everyone either lived in or was like on good terms with the family that lived there. This is my neighborhood like group of friends. I'm still close friends with most of these people to this day. But Tommy's driveway was up here. I don't think they can see me. Tommy's driveway was up here, and Bryson's driveway was down here. Yeah. And we would switch it up. So what we ended up usually doing was the zombie would start down here.
Yeah.
Or zombie, but it was more like
the infected individual.
Yeah, the infected individual would start down here.
The infected individual.
And then the rest of us would start up here.
Okay.
And the game would start when the zombie would usually... I think it was the infected individual would yell go or start or something.
Okay.
I can't entirely remember. But usually we'd hang out in Tommy's driveway.
Gotcha.
Until we figured out where the person was. And there were like a couple of routes you could take. I actually made it so close one time as the infected person that I walked up behind Tommy's little sister and tapped her on the shoulder. Like without them seeing me. We got so good at this by the time we were like 18 graduating high school.
Okay, but so it's okay.
Yeah.
I think I get the gist of it. You
probably
try
the same.
To tag people.
Yeah, and then they would be infected.
And then they're on your team to tag other
exactly.
people.
And then whoever was the last person.
How do you know that
standing,
they're tagged?
Just honor system.
Honor system.
Sure. We did play it with Nerf guns for a little while, but we lost so many darts.
I believe that. That
we just gave up on that, and it became a, tag thing. Are we telling ghost stories or demon stories? Because if we're telling about demons, I have some doozy possession stories. Really just anything paranormal. So Yikes. Go for it. If you want us to talk about it, feel free to shoot it to thelorelodge@gmail.com. And we'll look at it, and if we like it, we'll put it on the show.
Maybe we'll drink about it and discuss it
exactly.
on Saturday nights.
Exactly. See, you get it. But I'm sitting back there, and I thought I saw something.
Chair clatters.
Thought I saw some window. Temperature drops 10 degrees. I turn around. 18-year-old Aidan is like, I got this. And I just turn around and I yell, hey, fuck you. No, I said, fuck off. That's what And my friends still don't believe me about this, but I swear to God, man, I heard every door in the house slam shut at that exact moment.
Oh!
I was...
So creepy.
I was like, no. And I was just like, nope, not dealing with that. I'm out. We just did a video about Macedon, Zeus. We're getting to Greece. We're getting there. Let's see. And I think this can probably be the last one of these we read for tonight, and then I'll read everybody the poem since you've all been so kind.
The poem.
All right. This one was kept anonymous. So,
Ooh.
Well, I know their name and email address, but what are you eating?
Spit it out.
He looks so guilty.
He does looking... Look. Damn it.
He's not going to. Just let it happen. Don't. He'll bite you. If you try to take something from him, he will bite you. No, let him learn his lesson.
All right. It is what it is.
Allow me to parent. I don't know how you parent your turtle, but I'll parent my dog as I see fit.
I'm sorry.
All right. I don't want to waste much of your time, but I have to get something off of my chest. It's very hard for me to talk about this, but I feel this is informative and it feels good to tell someone. This incident happened about 4 years ago. I was 14 years old at the time, and I was at summer camp. For legal reasons, I won't say what the organization I was camping with was, but let's just say there's a lot of earning badges for completing certain tasks and learning certain skills. But that's besides the point. So,
badge-based system.
They won't say what it was, but I think after that, we all know we're talking about the Boy Scouts of America, who have since rebranded to Scouts.
The Girl Scouts of America.
Do they have camp?
What do you mean? They must, right?
I guess, yeah, it's possible.
I was never a Girl Scout. So
yeah, I don't think it's... I don't know if the story says if it was Boy or Girl Scouts, although there are some things that made me think Boy Scouts, but... All right, it was about midnight, and I woke up with a start in my tent. I heard something that vaguely sounded like someone yelling. Sounded decently far away, but it still freaked me out. Fun fact, with the lore around wendigos and skinwalkers both, if it sounds far away, it's close.
Ooh.
And the reason for that is if it makes it sound like it's far away, then you're less likely to run from it, whereas if it sounds like it's close, you're more likely to run, panic, and then it can track you down more easily. Yeah.
I don't like this.
How much parenting does a turtle require?
A good amount. What do I want to say? Like, you know, there's a lot of hands-on care. A lot of times when she was a hatchling, I had her out to acclimate her to being held by human.
Do you ever walk the turtle?
I don't have a harness small enough.
Are there people that walk their turtles?
There are people that walk their turtles. They're more tortoises though. Like, so like those are like a larger type of turtle and more land-based. I have a more aquatic turtle, so she prefers to not be so far away from water for extended periods of time.
Got you. Good to know. Archie does not enjoy being in water for extended periods of time.
Oh no, but you look like you would float so well with all of that fur. Just like such like
That's the thing though, is when he gets out, he's just like, he looks like
a rat.
Yeah, and he looks like a rat. Like, also, we were getting confirmation from the audience that there are in fact Girl Scout camps.
Yes!
I did not know that.
Could have been a Girl Scout.
It could have been a Girl Scout.
Could have been a Girl Scout.
Okay. Let's see. It sounded decently far away, but still freaked me out. I decided I'd go outside and see what the source was with my flashlight.
No!
Bad plan. Before I walked out, I pulled out my pocket knife for good measure. This is why it sounds like Boy Scouts to me, is because that's the kind of shit that only 14-year-old boys do.
That's not true. I had a knife when I was a 14-year-old.
From a dicey part of upstate New York, you know, getting into a lot of those like street gang fights where people are like snapping and singing.
New York is very rural.
I think of all of New York as Manhattan. I'm not gonna lie. All of New York is Manhattan.
Where I grew up is more rural than where we are here.
Really?
Yes.
Weird. All right. Okay. I'll believe you. I just had a feeling that I was in danger somehow. I stepped outside and was struck by an overwhelming sense of fear. I didn't understand why. Now I feel like that. Now I feel like it was okay. Now I feel like it was probably my instincts telling me that there was something very wrong. There was unnecessary that in there. I slowly swung my flashlight through the woods around me. Not too far away, on top of another tent. These tents are standing tents that are there all year round, really sturdy. This sounds like horseshoe. Not gonna lie, but I know there's other scout camps that are probably very similar. There was this thing. I don't really know how to describe it. It looked like a person, but just wrong. It was way too tall and extremely emaciated.
Yeah.
I'm talking skin and bones. It wasn't looking at me, but my flashlight got its attention. The flashlight illuminated a horribly grotesque face with deep, dark eyes and a nasty, torn-up mouth. It was frozen in place, not knowing what to do. Staring at this creature... Or I was frozen in place, not knowing what to do. Staring at this creature. A shout from behind me tore me from my trance. One of my friends, let's call him David, ran past me and at the thing with a stick that was on fire. At the time, I had no idea why, but he explained it to me later. The thing seemed to see the fire, and that was it. It scrambled off the tent and shot away back through the forest. David came over to me and shook me. He asked if I was okay, and it took me a minute to respond. I finally told him I was okay, and he said he was going to grab some more firewood. He went to the fire pit in the center of the camp and built up the fire. He explained to me that there were legends of a monster that can mimic human voices, and what we had just seen was that. He told me that they were afraid of fire, and that as long as the fire kept burning, we would be safe. I didn't really believe him, but at that point I was too scared to argue. The following morning, David told me that I should not talk of this to anyone. He told me it would be safer that way. It's now been 4 years, and I'm telling this to you.
Yikes.
I will say I did Boy Scout camp a couple of times. I stopped Scouts when I was like 12 or 13, but it could definitely get spooky out there.
I imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, and and the thing was, like, we weren't in cabins. Like, we were in either canvas tents that were, like, he described, like, standing tents, or they were these, like, almost cabins that had canvas sides and open fronts with like, columns holding them up, and then the back was wood.
Okay.
We did have a kid wake up with a snake on his chest once.
Oh, God.
Which I'm not entirely even sure how that happened, considering he wasn't on the floor, he was in a bunk. And
I feel like snakes wouldn't want to be up there. That sounds like something that, like, a fellow camper would do.
It does,
like,
but
wouldn't it be funny if we put, like, a snake on Tommy while he's asleep?
I've got so many stories from Boy Scout camp that are just campers messing with each other, but that's the thing is, like, but here's the thing, we all woke up, and to him, you know, screaming, and he wasn't from our troop either. He was, like, a kid that was staying for a second week, and they assigned him to stay with our troop. It's just poor kids, like, with a bunch of strangers. It was, like, the second night. He's got a snake on his chest. And the thing about Horseshoe, where we were, is that it's it's on the Mason-Dixon line, so it's straddles Pennsylvania and Maryland.
Okay.
There are copperheads down there, which are extremely venomous snakes. Like if one bit you, we kept anti-venom on site. Wow. Because you would not make it to the hospital. So we kept anti-venom on site at camp for copperheads. And there's copperheads, and there are snakes that look like copperheads. Right. The only way to know is to look at the teeth.
Oh, I thought, is that not the yellow and black? Dead Jack, black on yellow.
It could be, but like,
you're an okay fellow. I might have gotten that completely wrong.
That does sound right, but like,
I feel like
it was the kind of thing like for us, we weren't gonna know. So what we did was we managed to like coax the snake into a sleeping.
If you're cold, they're cold.
It was like June. It was June or July. I don't think they were cold. Yeah, just spoon the snake. You know, like that's.
Spoon the.
Is that a snake or you just having a snake? No, it's fucking snake. But yeah, so we coaxed it into a sleeping bag sack, like one of the cases you would put your sleeping bag into.
Oh yeah.
And just carried it up to the nature center, and we were like, "Hey guys, there's a snake in my boot." And they did confirm it was not actually a copperhead. It was one of the ones that mimics them, like looks like them.
Gotcha.
Poor kid, poor guy. It was. That saying is for coral snakes.
Coral snakes.
Oh, okay.
My bad. That's okay. Sounds right.
I was gonna say it would be weird if that applied to all snakes.
Well, all I know is that is a saying for a pair of snakes, one of which is very venomous and one of which is not venomous at all. I don't actually know what a copperhead snake
contest going on.
looks like.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you guys can hear him, but he's talking to me. He's a good boy.
Very quietly.
Very good boy, yes. But yeah, I mean, these were some of the first stories we had submitted to us, and I will say that I don't think that they were. The thing that leads me to believe that a lot of these were not fiction is that fiction writers tend to have a basic grasp of how to write.
Oh boy.
So what you're seeing, what you're hearing is after I edited them for clarity a little bit. I tried to keep them as true to like what was sent to me.
They have to be true because they were written so poorly.
Kind of.
That is 100% how you keep anyone from ever submitting anything. It was like, there's someone watching right now who's like about typing an email about their story that was about to hit send. It's like, oh man.
No.
Maybe I shouldn't.
No, send it. I'll edit it for clarity and then we'll talk about it. No, so, and I don't mean like that these were like, typical like just normal. I mean like some of these, I don't think this one specifically, but some of these came in and I was sitting there like actually struggling to comprehend what was going on. So, which, I say it jokingly, but it is a stunning indictment of the U.S. public education system. It's kind of bad. Yeah. Oh, hey, Bigfoot Anon. How you doing? But I did promise you guys I would read you the leprechaun story. So let me pull that up. It's my poetry final from, let's see, this is from February 5th, 2016.
Wow.
This was a ballad form poem.
So you were still in high school at this time?
Yeah.
Aww.
Should I do it in an Irish accent? Who's calling me right now?
Can you do an Irish
It's
accent?
Sam. What do I... Guys, I'm going to do something that is out of etiquette and answer a FaceTime call on stream.
Oh, boy.
Hey. I'm currently streaming on YouTube. What's up?
Really?
Yeah.
We're gonna come soon.
Okay.
Do you wanna pick us up?
From where?
My parents' house.
Not particularly.
Alright, we'll Uber. How long will you stream on YouTube? I wanna go to about it.
I'll be off in like 10 minutes. Huh? I'll see you in a bit. Bye.
Finish my beer and come over.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Social butterfly Aidan.
Ooh, that's my cousin.
Fielding all the calls.
Alright, ready for this? Here we go.
Yes.
I can't do the Irish accent well enough. I'm going to insult the Irish people. The lonely Irishman looked into the sky. With a gasp and long face, he uttered a sigh. For shame and alas, I am a failure today. He wept in the dust of the dried earth and clay. Along the old road he had driven his cart, but no one to buy made so weary his heart. His wares unwanted, his salesmanship failing, he bent himself over to hold on to the railing. God Almighty, I ask you tell me how my children I'll feed, or my wife or my sow. I brought the word sow into this.
You sure did.
Yeah. I've no food to cook and no ale to drink. Whatever of me would my father think? So walked he through city and town, watching the earth turn from green to brown. He wished and he prayed for some food, but no. The Irishman had not but one potato. Then came a sprite in his darkest hour, who offered him a small piece of his power. The Irishman looked at the small man before him, and thought to himself that his chances were slim. The man told him look for the end of the rainbow, and then he would find his troubles would go. But the Irishman was foolish, and soon he was gone, kidnapped at night by the bad leprechaun. This was the only assignment in that entire course, that year-long course, that I got a 100% on.
Kidnapped at night
By the bad
leprechaun. Love it.
I mean, I kind of get it, because, like, it is, like, technically, like, the meter and the rhyme are correct.
Is the last two, is that, was it iambic pentameter?
No.
Are you sure?
I don't think so.
Kidnapped at night by the bad leprechaun.
Yeah, but it's about how you I guess it is technically. That isn't.
It might not be pentameter, but I think it's iambic.
Probably.
That's why
It's
sounds
been
so
long.
nice.
I hated poetry. I
I
hated
love
poetry in high school. Like, growing up, it was... I hated it so much. But yeah, I'll answer a few questions really quick. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. Thoughts on shadow people and black-eyed people? Well, I think the black-eyed peas were good for their time. Do you remember the original version of Let's Get It Started? Do you remember what the original lyric was?
What do you mean, the original lyric?
When that song's originally released, the original lyric was "Let's get retarded."
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Really?
You gotta remember it came out in like 2004 or whatever, so like it was a different time, but still.
It was a different time.
Still, that one's rough. Like.
Yeah, that's hard to reclaim.
Yeah. You can't reclaim that slur. Although maybe Fergie can.
I was gonna say, I think Archie can.
Oh God, yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, but to answer the question, actually, the whole black-eyed people thing, I did some research into it because we were going to do a lore video on it, a Saturday video, and I just, I could not find anything that went back past, like, the early 1900s and late 1800s. And when it comes to kind of, like, folklore stuff, I like to see stuff that's pre-printing press. Or at the very least, like, something that was written down by somebody who interviewed a culture that did not have written language.
Yeah.
Because it's something about, like, stuff that was written in the age where print media was, like, a way to make money. It's just so much harder to trust what they're saying. Whereas if it's something like the Wendigo, where it's a cultural phenomenon, where they're like,
Right.
this is a thing that we've been telling stories about for as long as we can remember, that gives me a lot more you know, I've definitely that there's a lot more credence to that kind of thing, because it's much harder for a group of people who aren't writing something down to keep a consistent story of something that's not real. You know, so unless it's deliberate fiction, but you know, I mean, even look at like for example, the Iliad. You know, for the longest time, we thought that the Iliad was a story about a fictional war that never happened, and then we found Troy. So, but if you look at like what actually happened in the archaeological evidence for like what would a war in God, what was it, 1200-ish BC between Greeks and other Greeks or Hittites look like, it was nowhere near Homer's version. And Homer was not even writing, he was literally talking, creating this poem around 800 BC. So, you know, when people, you know, think of like Troy and the Iliad and the Odyssey and all that, and they're thinking of like Greek hoplites and, you know, the classical Greek image, and that's not at all what Mycenaean Greece was, and we know that now. But you know, if you look at it, that's a good example of a story that was told for a really long time that we've now found the root of it, and you can see the kind of trace back where things came from, but you can tell that they got off track at some point. So that's kind of how I look at things when it comes to things like the Wendigo or Black-Eyed Children or Changelings or whatever. You know, there's a lot of people who say that the whole changeling idea was a way of, you know, explaining children with mental illnesses or defects or stuff like that. You know, making it okay to get rid of them or put them up in an orphanage or something. For those who don't know, changelings are supposedly, you know, fairies that are left in place of children who are taken by the Fae, which is a whole other can of worms, because that has become an all-encompassing term for European folk creatures, so it's not a really helpful term. Originally referred to the Tuatha De Danann, which were the Irish, you know, deities, essentially, who are... I could see, this is the problem. I can't go off on a tangent right now, or we'll be here for 3 more hours. But yeah, so as for shadow people, almost everyone I've talked to who is even the tiniest bit superstitious has a story of shadow people where they were like, oh, I woke up and, you know, in the corner of my room or like, you know, around the door frame or something, there was like a shadowy figure with red eyes or blue eyes or yellow eyes, usually red or yellow, staring at me. They didn't do anything, they just stared at me. And a lot of people, you know, and then I'll ask the question, I'll be like, did something traumatic happen after that? Like within a couple of months? And almost every single time it's like, oh, well, my grandmother died, or we got in a car accident, or it always seems that the shadow person thing will show up.
Oh my gosh, I just got goosebumps.
Just a few months before something bad happens. And a lot of people have reported similar things with like Mothman, for example.
Right.
The Blackbird of Chernobyl. People were reporting they saw a shadowy winged figure in Mexico City right before Corona broke out. So, I mean, there's like a lot of tales of that. I mean, did you have anything like that?
I will say about Mothman, because I think this is funny. This is one of my fringe beliefs. Because Mothman is supposed to portend something bad happening. And I think culturally, Mothman has made a comeback in like pop culture and like you know, you go to even just the punk rock flea market
you want to hear
in town, and there's just like Mothman stuff and people wearing like Mothman shirts. And so I feel like Mothman has culturally kind of started to make a resurgence. And I mean, I'm just saying, like, that happening plus 2020 plus 2021.
Somebody commented on one of my posts, Moth Mussy.
No.
Which was just beyond unacceptable.
That's bad.
Yeah.
You should feel bad about that.
It wasn't anybody here, I don't think, but it was on, it was... Come on, man. You guys are gonna put me in an early grave. Also, hi, Mom. Someone at the shop mentioned about the blue-skinned people.
Ooh.
unless they're talking about the ghost of the frozen young boy who haunts people at Gettysburg University. Yeah, there's a young boy who like got himself locked outside of a dormitory window and froze to death in Gettysburg.
Oh God!
And people report seeing a like blue child in the window, just like staring at them. Very popular ghost story at Gettysburg.
I believe it.
But I think yeah. So that is my mother. Thank you. Love you, Mom. But I think you're talking about the blue fugates of Hazard, Kentucky. I think, if I remember off the top of my head correctly, which is a family of people who were from the marriage of I think a Louis Fugate from France and a local woman from Hazard. Very isolated area, very small population. Over time, there was a large degree of, I think it started off with like one of their kids married his mom's sister, and they had kids, and then like
yikes.
It just is this whole
inbred.
Yeah, it was the family wreath situation, and yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Mom. But yeah, and over time, their skin ended up turning blue.
Really?
Yeah, and it was. I think it was supposed to be something like that their blood wasn't properly filtering out silver, or like it was some weird like genetic defect where their body wasn't properly disposing of certain minerals, and it was turning their skin blue.
That is medically very interesting.
Yeah, and it to my understanding, it's the only time that's happened in recorded history. But there are people to this day who can still trace their ancestry back to that family.
The Blue Man Group?
No.
It seems so much time in makeup.
Through generations of inbreeding? You're gonna save time? Hold on. Hold on, guys. Let's stop painting ourselves. Let's just go sleep with each other's cousins for a couple decades. That's gonna go well.
It's the upfront time that you put in to save time down the road.
I'm not even gonna do the math. I'm just gonna pretend you didn't say that. Oh my god. All right. But yeah, that's the blue fugates. I don't think any of them are still blue.
Okay.
To my understanding, and I think the people who are still around are more like cousins who married off and moved away. To my understanding, so I don't think there's anybody who's still quite as inbred. Inbreeding is a pretty significant problem along the Appalachians, though. There are a lot of areas where the population is very small, and there's only 3 or 4 families left, and as a result, they have to intermarry generation over generation.
Do they have to?
Well, a lot of them can't afford to move.
But do you
Which
have
means that
to
you gotta
get
make,
married?
We got to make the decision between willfully dying off or...
Is that such a bad decision?
I mean, this again, you STEM people. Like, when I went to see No Way Home with you, we had a moment in the theater when we were seeing No Way Home where, spoilers real quick. If you still haven't seen it, but
go see it. It's really good.
Yeah, this doesn't really spoil much, but there's a moment where Doctor Strange is like, basically saying we've got to hit the button on the box to send these people back, and Spider-Man's like, but they'll die. And
that's between them and their timeline.
And Doctor Strange basically says, that's how it's supposed to be. Like, he's very cold and callous about it. And Spider-Man's like, but I can't willfully send someone to their death. And I look at her and I go, this is why we shouldn't let STEM people make moral judgments. And she was like, okay, fine. And then 5 minutes later, I looked at her and I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe the STEM people should be making the moral judgments.
Sometimes the STEM people should be making the moral judgments.
Because things quickly went wrong. So, yeah, I guess All right, fair enough. Fair enough.
Thank you.
Was trying to make a salient point about poverty in misunderstood regions of the U.S., and you're coming in here talking about, you know, willfully letting your family line die off.
I'm ready to let my family line die
Oh,
off.
jeez.
That's a fact.
My mom's probably sitting here like, I'm getting grandkids, I don't care.
My mom has a grand turtle, and she is an amazing grandmother to this turtle. Like, spoils her every single holiday with the dried shrimp and the mealworms and this is a very spoiled turtle, believe me.
Or she got fed an entire piece of cooked salmon this morning.
Right.
By my stepfather.
This is just what that generation has to deal with.
I'm gonna be real careful with my kids, otherwise they're gonna get diabetes or something. Because while on the one hand, like when I was a kid, my mom wouldn't let me drink normal cow's milk because she thought that it was bad for. Mom, if you're still in there, please explain your reasoning to me because I still don't understand what it was. But so I had to drink rice milk instead. I think this is the reason I'm not 6 feet tall.
Cow's milk does have a lot of like hormones in it.
I think this is the reason I'm not 6 feet tall.
I don't know what to tell you.
I think if I had been drinking milk the first 7 years of my life, I would be taller. I'm just saying.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. You'll never know.
Yeah. So, you know. But yeah, so meanwhile, like, my dog gets fed, you know, prime cuts of meat. So I'm pretty sure that when I have kids, I'm going to send them over to my parents' house for the weekend so I can, you know, I don't even know what I'm going to do. Like,
My mom fed my turtle, I kid you not, lobster. Like, actual lobster. Last time I brought her home for Christmas.
Turtle eats better than me.
I know! Turtle eats better than me.
Like, oh, God. But... No, but like, you know, they come over and they'd be like, here's an entire tray of cookies for each of you.
Instinct.
Yeah. Do you have grandparent instincts?
Do I have grandparent instincts?
You said it's a grandparent instinct, so I mean, I assumed you had some firsthand knowledge.
Well, only seeing it, you know, in my parents.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So what you're saying is that you're not a grandparent at 26.
No.
That's disappointing.
No, I'm not.
Try harder next time. I don't know.
Excuse you.
I only bought milk with no hormones for my kids. Yeah, that was an option.
I don't know.
I think she's still here and she's just being silent to like.
And was the milk with no hormones available?
My mother is currently calling me via FaceTime audio.
Oh, should you get her? I think you gotta get her on.
Hello. Hi. No, you called me on FaceTime audio. Why, Mom? I'm still on the stream. Mom.
There's a lot of people in the chat excited about milk.
Okay, all right. Well, yes, all right. Well, I'm gonna let you explain to the.
So the reason you had to have rice milk is because you got dark circles under your eyes whenever you drank cow's milk.
Are you telling me there was a reason for this?
You were allergic to it, yeah.
She says I was allergic to it.
I don't. What?
I said you said I was allergic to it.
Yeah, you were allergic to cow's milk. So we tried rice milk, and then you liked it. So believe it or not, you actually liked it.
I was 2.
I would like things that I wasn't allergic to. Look, your mom's just looking out for you.
That's right.
Your mom is always looking out for you.
I don't know what.
Mystery solved.
All right.
Aidan is allergic to milk.
I have to end the show.
He's not allergic anymore.
Everybody say hi to my mother, who is calling me in the middle of my stream.
Well, you did ask.
That's true. I more meant type it, but this works too.
I know. Well, it's
what is with my family and FaceTiming me in the middle of the stream?
You can make a whole show out of it, honestly.
Keeping it real.
Yeah, keeping it real. Okay. All right. I'm gonna get off so I can end the show and. Okay. Bye. I love you, Mom.
Bye. Love you.
I'm out. I'm done. I give up. Oh, man. What is this show anymore?
Reasons.
How many stomachs does a cow have? I believe 4.
That sounds right. That sounds right.
Let's see. This was my mistake. I should not have said the word milk.
Milk.
There's a bit of a thing on the channel where people comment milk a lot because of Wendigo milk. Which, by the way, I think next Saturday we're going to be doing the video about the Wendigo themed cocktails, which will probably take the place of this stream, but that'll just be drinking. So
That's all this stream was anyway, right?
that's true. Yeah, good point. All right, but I think that's enough for the night. Do not say that word to me. I don't even. Are you talking about cows?
No.
Good Lord. I know that, like, this has been a thing for a while, but I can't help but feel like the more recent trend of the Ussy thing is my fault.
It is 100% your fault.
Oh. You're very fierce and intimidating, yes.
I got you. All right.
All right. Well, everybody, thanks for stopping by. Have a good night. Have some milk. Maybe. I don't know.
Or rice milk if you're into that.
Oh, God, I guess. It'll probably go better with alcohol.
Ooh.
Did you see the Hilk? Was Hennessy and milk?
No.
God. Cowussy? All right.
I think. Ooh.
You're all canceled. Goodbye.